Let's start with this preset. Let's choose this one, hitting play button to see what's movement is look like. I will double click, change this text to, let's say I will give it tutorial, hit OK. I will move it. Let's say I will give some linear movement. Let's move the text position X to this value and position Z to this value. Let's change also X to this value. You can make the movement according to the 3 arrows on the red and green and blue, or you can make linear movement in this panel. This panel allows you different movement according to the value. Also, this panel allows you to make adjust movement according to different value. This value according to the shape. If you have a shape, the first line aligns the shape that contains the text. If you have a shape that contains text inside, you can make adjustment according to this value. I will move the text from this value on the red. Red and green and blue represent these 3 lines. 3 lines of axis of movement. You can adjust the movement according to X and Y and Z, according to this value. Same movement you move when pressing the head of the arrow. Also, you can delete this one and move it up here. Let's increase the thickness of the text. Let's increase the bevel. This will increase the bevel, the border. Let's give a new font. I will change this one, scrolling down to change to the different one. Just scroll down to find a different font if you want this one. Scrolling down to choose other one. When I will choose this one, this font, I will change. Let's say I will choose different font like this one here. Then I double click on this tool. This I will delete it and delete this one. I just need this two. I will delete this one. Let's say I will press lesson, hit OK, and let's move it. Let's give it a different position. Let's double click on this one, delete this, and I will write, let's say demo, and press OK. And let's give it some alignment. Let's move its height. This allow movement of the shape. If I have a shape that contains text inside, this movement will change it. And if I have text, then I will choose movement inside of the values that aligned with the red line. Red line marked by X. I move position X. I move rotation X and scale X. This panel allow adjustment on the position according to axis X, Y, and Z. Let's give it a different value to move it in the space. Also the same movement from these 3 arrows. If you have a linear movement or need a linear movement, you can choose this panel. If you just make a simple movement, you can use the arrows. I will, let's say, choose this one, select this, drag it, grab it, and choose the panel of the shape, make some adjustment, or go into design and give a text deformation. You can add a new deformation. Just scroll down to add a different deformation from this panel. You can scroll down, give it banner, fish, heave. Let's say I will give a value for the text. Let's say I will move it down, move it up. It gives the same movement. Let's change the intensity of the deformation you've added. Let's change the direction, change the axis, the deformation I had added. Let's increase the value intensity of the deformation you've added. Let's say I will change the deformation according to the shapes. This panel at the type represent the shapes. If you scroll down on the type menu, it gives the same deformation you see in these shapes. You can move the intensity. You can choose different presets like this one, or try this one. try different axes like X and Z, the axis that the deformation I had added. Let's increase the thickness a little bit, decrease the thickness from this tool. Allow to change the intensity also. You can grab it, drag it, increase the bevel thickness or decrease the bevel thickness from this tool, or change the color. Let's say I will change the color of the text outline, give it some color, give color for the text itself, the core text, and let's say I will give a new value. Just choose the panel of the text, choose different shape of the value. I will move down, give it a mirror, give it a reflection, and move it to animation. Give a texture animation, let's say vertical scroll half. Close this panel, select this text. Let's say I will change the font first. I will change to different font. Let's say I increase the bevel, the border of the text. Let's move it down depth. Let's give it some scale. Move it. And let's say I will put it down here. Let's give it a new keyframe. To save each point, you must hit the plus screen button to save this keyframe at this second. I have added a new keyframe at the second number 4. So at the second number 4, it will move to this point. And the second 0, I will add a new keyframe. Let's say I will change different position. Let's add some deformation. Let's add different color, different movement, different deformation. I move the position from this panel to give some linear movement of a value. Give it a precise dislocation, precise position. I move the position of the text according to a different value. I will scroll down according to axis X or Y or Z. Or you can give it a movement from this panel also. Panels of the shape and panel of design. Give a linear movement of position, rotation, and the scale. According to text, also according to the shape. Let's say I will give it a value of 266. Let's move it to the left side. Let's decrease the thickness a little bit. You can choose this panel to adjust the thickness, the depth, and hit new keyframe. Then you've saved at this point. Let's say I will choose this text. I will move it to the left. If I can't move it, I will just adjust on the panel on the right side. Give it a value of 50. Decrease the thickness a little bit. You can see you have bent. I've added a deformation. You just decrease the bevel thickness a little from this tool. You can change the color of the text. I change the core color of the text. Then I will change the color of the bevel, the border of the text, and give it a new texture. And let's give it this texture, this one here, this one, and decrease the thickness a little bit. And let's say I will save at this position, give it animation for the texture. Let's say rotate. And remember to hit add new keyframe to save at this point. Let's say I will move it to the down here and hit plus button to save the keyframe. Also choose different text, hitting play button. You can see I have saved movement at this point. Let's say I will select this text and move it to the second number 0. You can adjust the movement by pressing the keys on the keyboard, just the arrows on the keyboard. You can adjust movement, hitting plus button to save the keyframe. Let's say I will select this one, decrease the scale, move it on the space. Let's decrease the depth a little down here. Let's give it some scale also, give it some rotation, and move it, and let's say I will give it different color. Let's choose text, choose different color. I will choose this one. I will move the shape from the design panel, give it a deformation. Let's choose from different deformation. Let's see what deformation look like. I will try this one, make my adjustment on the position. Let's increase the thickness of the depth of the text, give it some rotation. Let's move it. You can see it start a movement from the point you've added. And I will delete this one, give it the start. You can see the movement, you've added a new keyframe. I will change the position of this one to increase it in the depth. Let's say I will choose this one. This keyframe, it's the movement at this point. Let's say I will move it from this point to this point. I will delete this one, move this, hit play button to see what the movements look like. This is the movement you've added. Let's say I will select this one, give it animation. I will choose this animation and try it. You can see it rotate around itself. You can choose different rotation from different panels. Let's say I will give this preset of animation. You can see it around its axis. It rotates around its axis. Let's say I will choose different text, give it different animation. Let's animate from this panel, give it a type letter and effects. Let's decrease the value at this point. I have value of 0 at the second number 0, and I will move to the second number 4 and give it a new value. So it will move from the value of 0 to value of 100, from the second number 0 to the second number 4. You add a keyframe at each second you want to move. I will just hit a new value for the type letter. Let's say different movement like pulse. Let's give it a different value like this one. Hidden plus button. I save this at this keyframe. I will give it a different value at the second number 4 and hidden plus button. Then I saved a new keyframe. So it will move according to the keyframes I've added. I will select this one, give it some animation. Let's choose this one, save it to the value, let's say value of 48 and hit plus button. I saved a new keyframe. Let's make a movement on the second value number 0. Let's give it 21 and hit play button. You can see the movement I have added and save it at each second. Also, you can change the number of seconds from timeline to increase or decrease the speed. Let's say I will choose second number 2, or this value. I will delete this keyframe. If you want to delete any keyframe, you will find it as a red note on the timeline. If you don't want the movement, just delete the keyframe and add a new one. Let's say I will change the speed, make it 8 seconds. Let's say I will delete this keyframe. I didn't want the movement. Let's want this one. Allow the movement you have added. Let's say I will select all of them and make a new alignment vertical, alignment in the depths. You can make the alignment from this tool. Then add in a new keyframe, stop it to start from the start and give it a new animation. Let's say I will give this preset of animation. You can see it's moving according to the preset animation I have added. Let's select this one, move it at this position and add a new keyframe. I save it at this position, give it a new color. Let's give a color for the outline also, give animation for the texture. Let's say rotation. Let's select the text, give it also an animation for the texture. Let's choose this one, hidden close, hidden, and add a new keyframe and save it. You can save a keyframe of the color. You can see it move also its color movement.